All right, something else to consider if you are you're building a backwoods cabin type of thing, and you want to be frugal, and it's not a structure that you plan on moving somewhere like the trailers or the food cart trailers, and you're not going to be there all the time. You got an issue with carpet developing mold and mildew and collecting dirt and shit. And then there's bare concrete, which gets kind of hard to insulate and warm, although it's not half bad for cooling stuff. And you can do stuff like what's in the floor here at the store, where it's like that plastic seal stuff. But stone tile is really not all that expensive if you're frugal about it. I mean, you can get the fancy stuff that's like $3 to $5 a tile, but you know, here's some that's 99 cents each. Some that's $1.54. Now I used a plastic version of these that's semi-flexible in that trailer project, and you can see up there where some stuff cracked when it was getting moved around, and that's why I used the semi-flexible stuff to avoid that. But I get the advantages of a real cleanable surface it's really not going to develop a lot of mold and mildew, and if it does, you can throw really fucking harsh chemicals on this porcelain tile to clean it. Yeah, you can throw almost any chemical you want on there to clean it, and it's going to clean it. So that's something to consider if you're doing like backwoods cabin construction, and even if you're not doing a concrete slab, even if you're putting this stuff on wood, you can do that. I mean, you can kind of seal the wood with a chemical, put down your grout and all that kind of stuff, and put this over that. There's some backboard that people suggest putting on. You can do this on walls. It's a little trickier, but it's done. But the thing is, it gives you a building that doesn't need to be heated and cooled all the time in order to be pretty civilized. And that's you know, from the backwoods alternate home thing, it's not full of shit. It's not going against the theme of it to use stone tile. In fact, it can actually work pretty well. It's not overly expensive when you consider your square footage versus finished product. Now, if it's going to be like a comfortable living space you want to be in for a little bit, what it is you put the stuff in, and then you put rugs and carpets, you know, not wall-to-wall carpet, but carpet sections, rugs, and it's not bad. Okay, now here's what you really don't want in a survival shelter type of place is Pergo floor. Okay, Pergo is it's a wood product, but it's kind of a pressed particle board stuff with a pattern that's usually either printed or laminated to it. Looks like wood, acts like wood. The problem with a place with Pergo floor is it shouldn't get wet, and it really needs to be temperature controlled. This stuff is used in a lot of apartments and stuff that somebody's building to turn over for quick profit. The problem isn't when it's new. When it's new, it looks really good, and you can sell your real estate for a lot of money. The problem is when it gets a little bit old, and it really doesn't last any longer than carpet. It has to be tore up and redone. If it gets wet, it peels, and when you start looking at your square footage price, okay, it's not majorly far off of that tile. Okay. Now the tile takes a little more prep and labor, but this stuff usually you got to put a layer of stuff below it too. So not incredibly far off when you start really looking at your square footage. It's a little more labor intensive to do the tile, but when you're on a do-it-yourself project, it's your own time, but it's your own wealth at the end of the project too. So yeah, I definitely recommend against this for those shelters. In fact, even for the small section, I'm going to use real wood for a floor over in that trailer. I'm not going to use Pergo. Okay, now this is that what they call luxury vinyl tile, and then this is like the cheaper luxury vinyl tile. This stuff is pretty much all of it's going to be under $2 a square foot. Now that is a little bit more expensive than the stone stuff that looks the same. The difference is this shit's a lot easier to put in. You can do it with or without grout. It's sticky back stuff. The reason you would do it with grout is when you put it in like that, you have a little bit of fudge factor you can play with on a spacing. Some people prefer that look. So yeah, the little fudge factor you can play on a spacing works really well when you're dealing with a surface that's a little bit irregular. You do it without grout, it's really fast to put down and still works. You know, you still get a line. The only thing is that you have no fudge factor to deal with on your lines. The other thing is you got to look out for your edges, because this stuff comes with rounded edges, so if you're cutting it to fit something, that's a little tricky. But because it's plastic, it's basically a thick plastic tile that's semi-flexible. It's pretty easy to cut, trim, and make circles in, and work in ways, especially around irregular surfaces, that you're not going to be able to do with real stone. Now this is the lower grade stuff. It's not majorly cheaper. The labor putting it in is about the same, but this is stick down only. You never grout this stuff. Well, maybe somebody does. I sure as hell would never do it. The other thing about this stuff is, I'd like to say any retard can do it, but yeah, there's some people who manage to screw it up. It can be used decoratively on walls pretty easily, and it's easy to repair a section. Okay, it's really easy to get kind of a little wedgie knife type of thing, pry up a section of it and replace it with another one. So when you go and put this stuff in, I mean, it goes all the way down to 75 bucks a section, and 75 cents a section. So when you put this stuff in, you know, always grab a handful of extras, so that you or your clients have spares to do repairs later on. And that this stuff's really good for rental properties, because it is really easy to fix. A tenant can fix this really easily. It's not a major problem. You can keep a place looking decent and presentable with, I'm not going to say it's low maintenance, but I'd say it's really easy maintenance. And this is entirely valid to use in shelters and trailers, as long as you've got, you know, a reasonably decent surface you can stick these things to, because they're a sticky back deal.